Well, who's going to get the same opportunity from these 9 competitors in the men's 100 meters final? One of them will be a gold medalist very shortly.
Out of the darkness and into the light. A 9-man men's 100-meter final. Well, we saw images of the call room a couple of moments ago. I suspect that over the course of the last 15 minutes, that was the quietest room in Beijing. As they did 7 years ago, Bolt's disciples have come to worship him. But this, perhaps, the greatest test he's faced since winning that Olympic title here in the Chinese capital. Bolt, well, he staggered, he tripped out of the blocks in the semi-final. It'll be a source of encouragement to his followers that he actually got to win the semi-final, which suggests this may not be done and dusted, but there's no doubt who was the most impressive of the semi-final qualifiers. Utterly flawless, Justin Gatlin. Nine men ran sub 10 seconds in the semi-finals. All of them are here for the final. Well, yesterday he was certainly very understated in his preparation and the way he took to the track for the heat. There was a little bit more of the old Bolt when we got to the semi-final earlier on, but he was rather embarrassed by that little trip in the semi. I wonder what's happened over the course of the last hour. They pointed out in Beijing, 15 minutes past 9. It is the ability...
Well, that's new. That's a novelty, Martin. Is that part of the Brave New World?
It adds an extra dimension to the mental preparations for those men. It's Gatlin against Bolt, but there are 7 more men in this final. Bolt, the world record holder, the holder of the championship record. When he was in his absolute pomp, that was at the Olympic Stadium in Berlin in 2009. The only blemish since he won the Olympic title here was when he false started in the final in Daegu. That was 4 years ago, when his teammate, his training partner, Johan Blake, took the title. But at this level, unbeaten otherwise, in global championship finals. The lineup from the far side. Jimmy Vico is in lane 1 for France. Su Bingqian of China, the first Chinese to break 10 seconds. He did that in the semi-final. Bromell of the United States, the youngest man to ever break 10 seconds. He's in lane 3. Mike Rogers, 9.86 in his semi-finals in 4. Bolt is in 5. Tyson Gay, the 2007 champion, is in 6. Justin Gatlin, the favourite, another former champion, is in lane 7. Asaf Apal, who's broken 4 world records in his time, is in lane 8. And Andre de Grasse, something of a surprise in the semi-final, the US collegiate champion, is in lane 9. Looking on there, by the way, Terence Trammell, the former high hurdler. So it's been a long wait for these men. They've been held in self-imposed silence in the call room. They've now been subjected to a long wait at the end of the 100-meter straight. It really is a preamble that would do a whole world heavyweight title boxing match justification. There's Jimmy Vico. Well, we've never seen the Chinese in the Global Championship 100-meter final for men. What an achievement, breaking 10 seconds in that semi-final. Here is Trammell. He's broken 10 seconds twice over the course of the last 20-odd hours. Can he make it 3, and will it be good enough to earn a medal? Mike Rogers, well, on an annual basis, he seems to make these teams. But he is really the never-quite man. He was impressive in that semi-final, 9.86. Well, no introduction is required, really. Here's Tyson Gay. Did the sprint double in Osaka in 2007. He was eliminated in the semi-finals in the 100 meters the following year. That at the Bird's Nest in the Olympic Games. He's laid that ghost to rest by making the final this time. Well, polite applause for Justin Gatlin. Well, here's the Jamaica team captain. Well, Andre de Grasse, I suppose for many people, has buried the ghost of the memories of Ben Johnson. 1988, 27 years ago now. Canada have a world-class sprinter again. Four Americans, 2 Jamaicans, a Frenchman, a Canadian, and a man from China. The Bird's Nest is where in 2008 Usain Bolt was crowned Sprint King. 7 years on, is the same venue about to witness his abdication. Bolt in lane 5, Gatlin in 7. Between them, Tyson Gay. The raw power of Gatlin explodes out of the blocks. Bolt has got away better this time. Bolt is coming through, but Gatlin's powering away. Can Bolt get there? I think he can! Bolt reigns supreme. We're awaiting confirmation. It's incredibly close. But Usain Bolt is the winner, and his star has never shone brighter before.
Cometh the moment, cometh the man, Martin. I knew I should have had a tenner on him. Bolt produced it. I just had a sneaking feeling that he was keeping his powder dry. I thought he looked great in London a month back. I thought he looked okay in his heats yesterday. He looked absolutely dreadful and stumbled at the start of his semi. But that, Martin, was something closer to the Usain Bolt we all know and love. And I know that that win has been celebrated so much more than most others for so many reasons. Gatlin's such a controversial character. We're surrounded here by dozens of agents and other VIPs of the sport of track and field athletics, and almost to a man they were cheering that win from Usain Bolt.
Well, Bolt's long levers cranked through the gears. 9.79 the confirmed time, 9.80 for Gatlin. Andre de Grasse for Canada. Canadian sprinting is back, and back in a big way. Well, we could see the gears were cranking up with Usain Bolt, but we didn't know if they would get him there in time. They did. And Justin Gatlin, well, that's a smile, but I suspect it's a rather forced one, because Usain Bolt, the question marks about him, well, they got larger and larger. He did put in a decent performance in London, which suggested that maybe, just maybe, he might get it back. The thought that Bolt's time might have come, but it lives on. Usain Bolt, the reputation, the legend just grows and grows. Well, it's interesting because Andre de Grasse had been called in third, and now we're seeing on the computer that Traven Brumell, both of them have been given the same time, 9.92, but Brumell has now been, well, it's a share of third place. The computer is changing all the time in front of us. So
here it is again. Let's take a look at this race. Usain Bolt has had so much criticism this summer, so many question marks over his application, his determination, his desire, his hunger. Can he work harder? Look at Gatlin. He's all over the place. His form in the last 20 meters was disastrous. He was almost stumbling, flailing arms, because he knew he was losing to Bolt. He was under enormous pressure, Martin, there for the second half of the race. Bolt got a great start, one of his best starts for a long, long time. And I think that was the key to it. Gatlin knew he was in trouble over the first 20 or 30 because Bolt was suddenly alongside him, and he didn't dominate the way he expected. 9.80 for Gatlin, nowhere near as quick as his semi.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, after the string of sub-10 performances, just the first 5 here, ducked inside the 10 seconds. Well, it's a long time since we've seen Usain Bolt having to dip and strain at the finish line in a 100-meter final.
That is one
long time.
One of the great historic moments in the history of sprinting, Martin. I think that clash between these two, because of all the paraphernalia of the politics, of the doping bans that Justin Gatlin has received over the years, because of Bolt and him being one of the greatest sports stars in the world, the man who took that trio of world records and goals in this stadium 7 years ago. Many people felt his career was on the wane, that he's had his best days, and maybe he has. Maybe we will never see him run 9.58 again, but he continues to surprise, continues to take the gold medals, and this is one of the big shocks, one of the biggest shocks of the season so far. For many a season. Great to see Canada take another bronze.
Well, who would have thought that we would say Usain Bolt winning an Olympic 100 metres final is a shock? It's his third world title at the distance. And with the exception of that blemish, that false start blemish, when, to use his own words, he lost his focus in Daegu, he false started, he was out of it, he opened up the way for Johan Blake, his training partner in Jamaica, to take the title. And there it is.
Well, you have to be able to produce the goods when it matters. Jimmy Vico, 9.86 in Paris to equal the European record some 5 or 6 weeks back. Tonight, 10 seconds dead in 8th place. This was the night he needed his big performance, Jimmy Vico. If he'd run 9.86 tonight, he'd have taken a bronze medal. But Usain Bolt there. Somebody said to me earlier, they think he even looks slightly overweight at the moment. He's just a big lad. He's got masses of muscle. He was a skinny 16-year-old when he took his first World Junior title. He's put on an awful lot of weight since then. Gatlin then, and watch Gatlin, look at this. The arms flailing, the body leaning forwards, way before the tape. Didn't hold his form. Guilty there of succumbing to the pressure applied by Bolt a couple of lanes to his left. And that might have been critical because he lost, remember, by 1/100th of a second. And they are talking about tiny margins when you're getting down to hundreds. Not the thickness of a vest, but not too many vests, I can tell you.
He's even striking the familiar poses, isn't he?
It's a moment, Martin, that many of us feared we'd never see again, quite frankly, isn't it? Because, you know, Gatlin has dominance on the circuit this year. Month after month, race after race has been quite staggering. And you know, Bolt hasn't got close to him on paper, albeit the fact that they haven't raced before today. But all credit to Usain Bolt. He's clearly worked very hard since he ran so well in London. That wasn't a false indication of his fitness. He's put in a month's good work, and he's a metre or two better.
Well, a penny for his thoughts when he goes back to that warm-up room, which was absolutely silent for 15 minutes while they sat there and waited to be called. I wonder if under his breath he might just say, blimey, I got away with that one.
Do you know, Gatlin was in the lead there. That overhead shot, very revealing. I reckon he had a lead of just a very few inches, about 30 metres out. But the pressure from Bolt, who was working so hard to catch him, got to Gatlin. And you could argue that it was a psychological victory, that, for Bolt over Gatlin, who succumbed when the pressure was on. The form went, and it's so ironic because people have been saying that Gatlin looked absolutely fantastic in his Heaton semi-final, haven't they? Technically, I've heard so much praise about Gatlin's form yesterday and today in his semi-final.
Well, he's run slower, hasn't he, than he won in his semi-final when he wasn't really stretched. So
well,
it does go to show, and looking at the performances through there, it's not because the conditions have really changed, it's because the added stresses and the strains, the muscles tighten, and simply they don't perform. So there is clearly an optimum effort level, there's an optimum stress level that sprinters have to run with. And I think because he's been there so many times before, because he is so relaxed, Usain Bolt maybe naturally strikes that balance.
How ironic, Gatlin's composure letting him down. But there'll be many of us raising a beer to that victory. It's not the vest, it's the man and what he symbolises. And I've been reading headlines today, people saying that were Gatlin to win, it would be an absolute disaster for the sport. Well, we've been talking about the new era under the management of Sebastian Coe, the new IAAF president. Usain Bolt has tonight proven to be a wonderful bridge between the old and the new. He still reigns, and I rather feel that that is a huge shot in the arm for the sport of athletics after the successful election of Sebastian Coe a few days ago. Good guys can win, they can come out on top. Coe, Ovett, Cram, all in this arena, and they likewise, like Martin and I, will have been punching the air as they saw Bolt cross the line there in the lead. Well, of course, that will be dissected by Maurice Green for Eurosport with some real expertise. Martin, the highlight of the day, the highlight of the championship so far. Do you think it might
20-kilometre walk.
Do you think it might have been the height? No, I'm saying it is. What about, do you think come the